1,000 voices cry out in torment at the destruction I have unleashed. The streets run thick with the blood of the innocent. So much evil has been brought to the city of Armindale, and at last this bastion of holiness has crumbled beneath our weight. Yet, the voices of the dead, they haunt me endlessly. I can hear them screaming in my ears as if they were standing beside me. Men, women, children, guards, nobles, tanners, scholars, smiths. I have slaughtered every last one of them. By the gods, what have I done? Yes, of course. I have done as you required. I have done my duty and destroyed yet another enemy. Yet, at what cost? In the past, my opponents were all corrupt men, or men who were hated in one manner or another. Here in Armindale, though, my opponents are the innocent and helpless who call this place home. Here in Armindale, my opponents do not truly deserve to die. What have I done? Very well. I have listened to you all my life, and you have yet to lead me astray. Tell me, my friend, what task would you have me do? Burn it. Of course. A cleansing flame that will scour this fetid hole free of the corruption that has tainted it. We will topple its great spires, demolish its majestic buildings, and shatter its marble statues. Armindale will crumble as if into dust, and soon it will be forgotten. Only the memory of what I accomplished here will remain. I will never be forgotten in the pages of history. Once again, I thank you, my friend. You have performed a great service to me.
Well, now that you are awake, I have some good news for you. During the course of the night, I became restless and could not sleep. I wandered the caverns and found this ancient mining pick. Though it is rusty and well used, I would venture a guess that it is sturdy and will do the job we need of it. I suggest that you return to the deep mines and attempt to make your way past the rubble pile, while I stay here and make this camp more hospitable. I will be waiting here when you return. Just be careful.
Upon seeing you, Allecia chuckles and quickly engages you in conversation.
From that self-satisfied smile I see on your face, I presume that your hunt went well today. Tell me, what did you find?
Allecia admires the shattered weapon, her emerald green eyes reflecting the piercing green edge of the enchanted blade.
Truly impressive. I can tell from the craftsmanship that back before this weapon was broken, it was a masterpiece, probably its maker's pride and joy. Its wielder loved it and cleaned it after every battle. Its edge was honed with a whetstone as often as possible, and it was treated as if it were priceless. When the wielder came to this place, he knew intimately that he would be sacrificing his blade in order to complete his task. Yet though his love for the enchanted weapon was great, his love for his cause was even greater. This weapon has a grand story to tell. Yet it is a story that you and I will investigate later. For now, we need to ensure that we use the time available to us before the archaeologists arrive.
Allecia stops you before you can make a move, stepping in front of you to block your path.
No, not now. No matter how valuable our time is, I will not allow you to forego rest, lest you become unwell. No, my friend, for now you will eat and you will rest. Do not fear, for I shall keep watch over you. You are safe with me to protect you. I am pleased to hear it, and glad to know that the bonds of trust are forming between us. One day soon you and I may truly become friends. However, that day is in the long, distant future. For now, you will rest. I will be here when you awaken. Well, I offer you my congratulations. It looks like you managed to keep up with me after all. I'm surprised. I did not know that you could run that fast. You should not say such things, especially if you don't really know what you are getting into. Come, follow me a bit further. I have something that I want to show you.
Greetings, Breton.
Here we are. This is what I wanted to show you. Look out there.
Allecia gestures to the rolling green hills and sweeping plains that stretch for as far as the eye can see.
Look at that beauty, that perfection, that serenity. This place is so pleasant, so peaceful, so inviting. There is nothing like this where you and I are from. Our world is a place of ugliness and desolation, a world in decay. You and your flattery. You are a master at saying the right thing at the right time, at gauging what it is that people want to hear. You are confident in everything that you do, so much so that you do not even allow for the possibility of failure. I will confess that I find it charming, but your confidence will ultimately be your undoing.
Allecia bows her head as if ashamed to admit the truth.
I have. And from what I have seen of the future, I can tell you that the omens for us are not good. Your confidence will be our undoing as much as it will be yours. And from what I have seen, I know that it is unavoidable. You will die. And yet, it is not necessarily your fate, because my prognostication did not end with your death. No, my love. There is a chance, albeit a slim chance, that what you and I share will not be entirely destroyed by your confidence. Listen closely, and I will tell you.
Hi there.
Thank the gods you are awake. You tossed and turned all night, crying out in your sleep from time to time. I was beginning to worry. You know, your actions of late are starting to scare me. Sometimes you seem to be daydreaming, and nothing I say or do will draw you back to the real world. And then when you sleep, you cry out in anguish at whatever nightmares plague your moonlight hours. Surely some untold horror has begun to consume your life, and as your partner in this adventure and your friend, I think that you should tell me.
Alecia's look grows infinitely more concerned, and her right hand seems to move unconsciously towards you.
If anyone else spoke of such dreams, I would merely dismiss them as being insane or delusional. But when you tell me of your dreams, there is a certain conviction in your voice that seems to go beyond mere delusions. To me, that means that either there is some truth behind your dreams, or else you have come to believe your own delusions. Either way, it is cause for concern.
Alecia's look of concern rapidly broadens into a smile, and suddenly she giggles in an almost girlish manner.
Well, I'm not exactly sure that you dreaming of me is a bad thing, but I did not realize that you thought of me in that way. I'm not too sure that now is the time for us to discuss such thoughts. You think it is more than just a dream because of how real it felt, or because it conjures forth a repressed memory from the past. But can it really be a repressed memory if there is no point in your life for it to fit into? You said that I featured prominently in the dream, but before a few days ago, you and I had never met before. Now, I will not deny the fact that you remind me of my friend whom I had known for a long enough period of time to tie in with your dream. Yet, you are merely similar to him. You are not the same individual. When first we met, I could not help but wonder if perhaps you were the same friend that I had lost. But now I know that that is not the case. You are not him. You are an entirely new and equally interesting individual. Thus you need to rationalize to yourself that there is no possible way that what you experienced was anything more than a mere dream. Of course I am right. Surely by now you have figured out that I am always right.
Alecia sighs, and her brow grows heavy as her concern deepens.
Though I honestly believe that the issue demands immediate attention, I cannot help but feel that now is not the time to discuss it at length. We need to finish our work here, else we may lose that tie to your ancestry that resides here. Once we have left this place, then I think that it is just that you and I should have a very long talk.
With my vast repertoire of knowledge, I suppose that I shouldn't be surprised to see you here. And yet, I still am. The fact that you managed to arrive here before my expedition is not what concerns me. But the fact that you have remained here unchecked for this long does. The gods know what you have been doing while I have been absent. If I find that you have done any damage to any of the artifacts here, rest assured you will regret it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a particularly enthralling piece of cyclopean architecture to catalog. Hi. I take it you want something.
With these, archaeologists around, we aren't going to be able to get much work done here. And I doubt they will allow us to continue excavating the site without their permission. Thus, I think it is time we took our search elsewhere. The enchanted sword that you found earlier is the key, I believe. I have been thinking about it, and come to a conclusion. The enchantment placed upon it is one I have never seen before, so it must have been a specialist commission to have it performed. There is only one place that I can think of that takes specialist commissions like that, though it is through an unlikely source. There is a street peddler in the market district of the imperial city called Dacis, who will perform rare enchantments for a suitable price. If you take the weapon to him, he may well know who commissioned the enchantment, or at the very least, who else to talk to. I'll stay here and try and divert the archaeologists away from the new tunnel systems that you have unlocked. Return to me when you have followed the lead that the sword provides. Take care.
Hi there. Welcome to the ruins of Armindale. All of this was once a great city that stretched for as far as the eye could see. Yet it fell to ruin at the hands of the General Cleon, the aptly named Butcher of Armindale. Would you perchance be interested in hearing the story of Armindale? Ah, it is good to see the young developing a keen interest in the history of our great nation. Well, some 200 years ago, the city of Armindale was one of the neutral cities in Tamriel. It was fortunate in that it was entirely self-sufficient, and all trading with neighboring towns was by choice alone. It was led by a lord who sat at the head of a council of representatives, all of which voted diplomatically on changes that would affect the city. In all reality, Armindale made no enemies, and thus had no reason to worry about any outside threats. Yet unfortunately for this great city, one of its neighboring towns was keen on expanding, and Armindale was its target. To make matters worse, the general who was placed in charge of the invading force was Cleon. Cleon the Butcher, a man who was reputed to be able to see into the minds of his opponents and second-guess their strategies. He marched his army to the city walls and began readying sophisticated siege equipment for a long siege. However, all of it was just a ploy, for while Armindale's eyes were on the siege equipment, Cleon had another plan in mind. Since he had first been ordered to take the city, the Butcher had sent hundreds of miners to begin excavating mines on the outskirts of Armindale. Following his orders, the miners excavated beneath the southern walls of the city, weakening them drastically. When the time to attack came, The Armindale militia refused to take it seriously, as the siege equipment was not manned. They simply watched as the ranks of attacking soldiers advanced on the city, thinking the attack to be a trick. Yet right as Cleon himself reached the south walls, the miners underground collapsed the tunnel system, and the walls followed suit. The entire southern wall crumbled into dust, and General Cleon's soldiers swarmed into the city. I'm sorry, am I boring you? Or would you like me to continue? As you wish. Now, due to the fact that every citizen of Armindale was a member of the city militia, regardless of their profession, and because every citizen had some minor military training in case of just such an occasion, General Cleon knew that he could not let any of the citizens live. Otherwise, they would band together and strike out. And so, his orders were simple. Kill everyone. Let no one in Armindale live. His soldiers were naturally bothered by such orders, as even professional soldiers do not like killing women and children. So Cleon himself led the charge into the city and slaughtered the first of the citizens of Armindale. The streets ran red with blood, and within hours, not a single citizen remained alive. Every last one of them had been butchered. And then, strangely, completely without reason, General Cleon ordered his soldiers to burn the city to the ground. To this day, no one has managed to determine why he was ordered to do such a thing, as it made the entire attack pointless. Thus the city was set aflame and destroyed, and so the tale of Armindale comes to a close. I hope you found the story interesting, as it is one of the great tragedies of our time. And now, if you will excuse me, I have work to do. With my vast repertoire of knowledge, I suppose the fact that you managed to arrive here, but the fact that you have remained here unchecked for this long does. The gods... Morning. Good afternoon.
Ah, I know a discerning eye when I see one. Tell me, what can I do for you today?
The enchanter's eyes grow wide, and there is no denying the fact that he obviously recognizes the blade that you now hold.
Ah, yes. That is indeed a weapon that I am familiar with. I had been told that it had been destroyed during a conflict of sorts. Tell me, how did you come by it?
The enchanter listens eagerly as you recount your story and reveal to him precisely how it was that you came by the broken blade.
Well, my friend, that is indeed an epic tale. Perhaps one day someone will commit it to song so that others may enjoy it as I have. Well, as it happens, I can still remember precisely who it was that I enchanted this weapon for. Furthermore, I still remember precisely where it was that he had last taken up residence. However, for me to tell you that information, you are going to need to part with some of your hard-earned gold. For you, since you were so kind as to share your story, the price will be 400 gold.
The enchanter pockets the money you have given him immediately and thumps you on the back in a decidedly friendly manner.
All right. A deal is a deal. The man who commissioned the demon-slaying enchantment upon this blade is a hunter of sorts. He earned some moderate measure of fame when he used the blade to slay a demon that had been causing trouble on the outskirts of Bruma. From what I have heard, during the conflict, the hunter was forced to destroy the blade in order to slay the Fiend. His name is Maris, and he lives in a small house on the outskirts of Bruma. Here, I'll mark it for you on your map. If you are going to confront him for any reason, you'd best be leaving my name out of it. I don't imagine he'd be exactly pleased to learn that I sold him out to you.
Whatever.
Maris the hunter snarls upon seeing you, and faster than you would have thought possible, he is blocking your path.
I hope you have a damn good reason for entering my home, uninvited.
Maris eyes the blade with an air of disdain, his lip twisting into an unimpressed scowl.
So, you have the remnants of an enchanted blade. Good for you. Well, obviously, your informant was wrong. I have never seen the weapon in my life, and I have no desire to see it again. Now, leave my home before I make you leave.
Maris's scowl deepens, and his eyes take on a decidedly threatening appearance.
Speak quickly, then, before I lose my patience with you. Why do you need to know? So you know nothing of your ancestry, and thus nothing of who you are. I can think of 100 worse situations to be in. Let me give you one piece of advice before I send you on your way. This is a story I heard once, long ago. A man has forgotten who he is, and thus is cursed to wander the world without an identity. During the course of his journeys, he comes across a genie who says, "And what is your third wish?" The man is confused and asks, "My third wish, but what of my first and second wish?" "Well, your second wish was to have me undo your first wish," the genie replies with a pleasant smile. Never one to pass up an opportunity, the man decides to use the last wish to learn the answer to the only question that plagues him. "Tell me who I am," asks the man, to which the genie laughs uproariously. "Funny," he says. "That was your first wish."
Maris crosses his arms across his chest and glares at you, obviously waiting to see your reaction to his story.
I'm sure you can see the point I'm making. Sometimes not knowing who you are is a blessing in disguise. Use this opportunity to invent your own history and to be the person who you want to be. Now, leave my home.
What is it? Hey! No. This time you will not pass. I made the mistake of being lax in maintaining the secret location of this excavation site. I will not make the same mistake again. Your friend Allecia Eothorn managed to sneak past me while I was cataloging one particular discovery, but you will not have that luxury. The door into the next section of the mine is locked, and only I have the key. You will not be going in there again anytime soon.
You turn your back on the archaeologist, who smiles smugly in response.
What's your story?
What's this about?
Thank the gods you are back. I cannot remember a time when I was more relieved to see someone than I am to see you now. So far, the archaeologists are yet to venture into this part of the caverns, so I have been able to ensure that this room remains undiscovered. But sooner or later they will work up the courage to excavate deeper, and so we must have completed our work before that time comes. Tell me, what did you learn from Dacis the Enchanter?
Alicia's brow furrows in concern, and she inadvertently places a hand across her mouth as if to keep from screaming.
So, Edward Pellew was involved after all. I had long suspected that he had been the instigator to my friend's downfall, but now I know for certain. It just seemed too convenient that he should seek you, and soon after, you would discover a clue leading you to me. Obviously, he and Maris the Hunter are working together once more, intent on finishing what they started. Our time is short. We need to learn all there is to learn here, and leave as quickly as possible. We need to learn how to unlock the door leading into the final section of the caverns. Well, as to the runic alphabet used on the Cyclopean architecture in this room, I can be of no help. But when I look at this contraption in the center, I cannot help but think of how much it reminds me of an ancient-styled sundial. Perhaps that can be of help to you?
Allecia moves to stand in front of you, her delicate hand hovering tentatively over the control panel on the door.
I'll do it. I just want to look like I'm taking an active part in this quest to find your ancestry. You tell me what button you want me to press, and I'll press it.
Allecia presses the button you indicated, and after a brief pause, the panel of buttons flashes dimly.
I think that the seal on the door requires me to press another button. Which one do you think?
Allecia nervously stretches forth her hand and touches a second button. There is an audible click, but nothing more.
Perhaps we need a third entry. Which one should I push?
Allecia takes a deep breath and touches the third button, and is soon rewarded with a much louder click.
Well, that's it. 3 buttons pushed. Now we can only wait and see whether or not it worked. Now that we have a moment, perhaps we could continue our earlier discussion. I'm sure that you have a few other questions you'd like to ask me. Ah, I was wondering how long it would be before you asked that question. Well, I guess that you deserve an answer, though I imagine that you may not like the answer I give you. Suffice to say that I am not entirely human. My long lifespan stems from my tainted blood.
Allecia seems hesitant to answer that question, and she nervously averts her eyes rather than looking at you directly.
I would answer that, but I cannot help but feel that it would damage our relationship, so instead I will half answer it. You need to think of various creatures in Tamriel and outside of Tamriel that are blessed, or perhaps cursed, with a longer lifespan. For example, I once met a bounty hunter of sorts who was granted longevity due to his mixed parentage. Apparently he was related to some divine, omnipotent being, yet since his mother was a human, he only gained a few of his sire's abilities. My position is somewhat similar. My mixed nature has given me some unique abilities, yet not all of them. And of course, I am confined to this wretchedly ugly human form.
Allecia chuckles at that, bathing you in rich pearls of infectious laughter.
You are kind to say it, and I thank you for the compliment, yet your words are far from truthful, at least from my perspective. Rest assured, my true form is far more magnificent to behold. You are welcome. As I said before, we need to bridge this rift between us, and by my reckoning, talking is the best way to do it. Who knows? Perhaps in time you and I may even come to trust one another, though I will admit that at the moment that is doubtful. We will talk later. Come, let us walk. Great work. We have made it this far. Now we need only make it past the guards, and we will be home free. You take the lead and I'll watch your back. If you get into a fight, try to end it as soon as possible before the alarm is raised. All right, let's get going.
Am I supposed to be impressed? Am I supposed to be impressed? Yeah! What's the matter? Getting tired? Yeah! Do the worst!
Well, those guards won't be bothering us anytime soon, but we still cannot afford to relax just yet. According to the building plans I stole from the architect of this place, what we are after lies just beyond these doors. Remember, we can't afford to be too selective. We must take the first one that suits the criteria. Race and gender is of no concern. However, the one you pick must have all of his motor functions.
Allecia takes a deep breath, and you know intimately that she is bracing herself for the task ahead.
Okay, I'm ready. You open the door and I'll be right behind you.
As consciousness returns, you find yourself being pulled harshly to your feet by Allecia.
You had another waking dream again, didn't you? I can tell from the look of abject horror in your eyes. These dreams, they seem real to you, don't they? Well, perhaps there is more substance to the dreams than I had first thought. Perhaps that is our next clue to follow. You fainted upon seeing the contraption in the middle of this room. Tell me, can you describe what you saw in the dream?
Allecia frowns thoughtfully, her eyes locked deep in concentration.
I can think of only one place that fits the description, but if memory serves, it was destroyed quite some time ago. There is an orphanage not too far out of Coral that once harbored many of the traits you mentioned from your dream. Yet some time ago, a fire gutted the building, and the deaths that followed prompted the ruler of Coral to close the place. Here, I'll mark it on your map. I think that it may be advantageous to your quest if we investigate the remains of the orphanage and try and learn what we can.
Allecia glances sidelong at you, and you cannot help but feel that she seems somewhat saddened.
I sense that your quest is drawing rapidly to a close, which means that our partnership probably is as well. Come, my friend, let us travel to the remains of the orphanage. Together, you and I might as well make the most of the time we have left.
The caretaker looks at you with eyes that do not seem to see, though his orbs obviously still harbor some sight.
It has been a long time before anyone came by here to do anything, except loot the remains of this place. Somehow, I do not think that you are here for that reason. No, you have some other quest that you are pursuing. Me? Well, I am no one. At least not anymore. People around here call me the Caretaker, but my real name is Parmenus. Years ago, I was one of the guards that kept a watchful eye on this place. But after its closure, I found myself out of work. I was too old to continue my previous life as a mercenary, and so I decided instead to settle down in the remains of this orphanage. Since it was destroyed by fire, the officials in Coral couldn't care less who lives here now. Not a whole lot, I'm afraid. The whole night is a blur to me now. I remember that when the event was investigated, those in authority found its origins to be extremely strange. Apparently, someone threw some incendiary device through one of the windows, and the heat generated set this whole place ablaze. Other than that, I can't tell you much about the fire. I was actually drunk in a tavern in town on the night that it occurred. You are welcome. If you ever have any more questions for me, you know where I'll be. I am sorry, but I don't know how much more I can say about the events that took place here. What did you want to know? Well, a number of bad tidings led to this place being closed. First of all, 2 thieves broke into the orphanage and stole, of all things, one of the children that lived here. The gods alone know what fate that youth suffered at the hands of those uncouth renegades. Soon after, there was a fire that gutted the building and resulted in the deaths of several guards and a dozen young children. The rulers of Coral decided that the ill reputation the orphanage had earned prevented it from fulfilling its intended purpose. And what with the growing decline in the number of children in the lands, they saw fit to close the orphanage and leave it to rot.
Well, that was certainly an enlightening experience, wouldn't you agree?
Allecia's smile is decidedly self-satisfied, and the glow in her eyes is one of unaccountable victory.
It might just be a coincidence. Yet the way that the caretaker described the fire reminds me a great deal of the old Ahethorn estate. That building was, as you know, destroyed by Edward Pellew and Maris the Hunter, and the way in which they burnt it was the same. The Hunter threw an incendiary device through the window, and when it erupted, the entire building caught ablaze instantly. Perhaps Pellew and his gruff friend destroyed this place as well, for some reason or another.
Allecia shrugs, as if the revelation means very little to her.
At any rate, I guess that the caretaker can consider himself lucky to be alive. He managed to avoid the 2 thieves who broke in through the roof and being burned alive in the fire.
Allecia's face grows pale, and her eyes grow large, as if she knows that she has made a mistake.
How do I know what? Well, I must have heard it somewhere. Perhaps, the caretaker mentioned it during his story. Or perhaps I had heard the tale from, someone else during the course of my travels.
Allecia's expression grows stormy, and she frowns, her narrow eyebrows nearly meeting her dark eyes.
Very good. I am indeed surprised. I would not have expected you to find a fault in my act so soon. I'm not too sure that even my deceased friend, with his unsurmountable intellect, would have discovered it this quickly. I guess that the act is over, so there is no point in me continuing this charade any longer. No, I don't think that I will, because now is hardly the time or the place for such a revelation. But I will tell you soon, once we are both back in the room with the altar beneath the excavation site. Take me there now, and I will reveal everything to you. once and for all. Well then, this is it. The end of your journey. You and I have been through much, but now it is time to end it all. Now that you have had time to reflect upon our journey, I'm sure that you have noticed the many inconsistencies of my involvement. How did I know that you had to find your way to this room? How did I know the exact orphanage from your dream? Why was I so willing to help you despite knowing so little about you? Why was I willing to trust you? I will admit, when I first saw you, I truly did mistake you for my long-lost friend. But once I learned that you were not him, I knew precisely who, or rather what, it was that you were. I journeyed with you because I was hoping to learn more about what you had become. To find similarities to that which you came from, or more specifically to find differences to that aforementioned entity. Over time I have learned that though you harbor many similarities, you are indeed different. You are not the same being. And now the time has come for you to learn the truth, and to see what it was that has shaped your destiny in this way. Lie down on the altar. I will trigger the machinery, and at last, you will understand everything.
Allecia's look is unwavering and cold, and you shiver uncontrollably in her presence.
I suggest you hurry. Now that Maris the Hunter knows that you are on his trail, he will undoubtedly be coming after you. He and that bastard, Pellew, assuming the old dog is still alive, and they may well be here any time now. Depending on how much information you let slip during the course of your investigation, they may be here sooner than expected. I suggest that you hurry.
And so, at last, you and I stand face to face, or at least the equivalent of such an interaction, being that I am, after all, dead. I know that you have questions, yet I am certain that by now you know most of the answers I will give. Tell me, do you know who you are? In a way, that is true, though you are not truly me, but rather you are a reincarnation of me. A copy of my mind and my abilities, placed in another vessel, a different body. The mind that once occupied the vessel you now inhabit was forcibly removed and left writhing in agony as existence was ripped from it. And in the empty shell that remained, you were created from me. My beloved, you would know her as Allecia, prophesied that I would die due to my own overconfidence. Yet she also knew that there was a way for me to escape my fate, and for the two of us to live forevermore. and that was through the completion of a ritual that we took from our charred homeland. A ritual that would essentially duplicate my persona and place it within an appropriately prepared vessel. Thus, my consciousness would be relocated to a new body, the body of a child that we would acquire. After her prophecy, we spent almost a year in preparation, recovering ancient texts, preparing the chamber beneath Armindale. We broke into an orphanage and stole a child that fulfilled our requirements, casting out their soul into the void. Yet Edward Pellew and his hunter companion tracked us down before our work could be complete. And in the conflict that ensued, I was burned alive before we could complete the transfer. But Allecia knew that all was not lost. She had the replacement body, and she had the copy of my persona. She returned to the chamber to complete the transfer, yet before the entire transfer could be completed, she was interrupted. Pellew and Maris were back, and after a brief exchange, Allecia was forced to flee the caverns, leaving you behind. Thus, you were brought into existence, a new vessel, partially occupied by my persona, but free of the constraints of my memories. The gods alone know how it was that you escaped the chamber, and how you found yourself into the care of your parents. Yet somehow, despite all the odds, you survived and became the being that you are today.
The creature before you speaks its name, though you could never hope to reproduce the name with mortal vocal cords.
I was a praetor within the ranks of the Horde in Oblivion, a strategos, a tactician. To this day, historians have wondered how it was that Cleon gained his seemingly unnatural ability to second-guess his opponents. How was it possible that an uneducated farmer came to be the most malevolent, most undefeatable general who walked Tamriel? The reason behind that is because I was whispering in his ear the whole time. I am the beast that rode Cleon's back. I was the one who pushed him across the mountains of madness and into the realms of true infamy. And all of it was done in service of my masters. Thus was I tasked with ensuing chaos within Tamriel. I am the voice of insanity that fills mortal ears. I am the demon inside that unleashes the animal caged within. I am the primal side of a mortal's nature, because it is within my office to be such a thing. And I am here because of you. I am here because a task previously was left uncompleted, but now shall be completed. The void between the two of us shall vanish. We will become one and the same. Yes, you are indeed your own master, and you have been in command of this vessel for so long a time that I doubt even I could change that. No, rather than obliterating your consciousness, I will instead merge with you, and we will share this vessel. Together, the two of us will become a force to be reckoned with, an entity of utter chaos. Because during the course of your investigation into your ancestry, I have seen the type of being that you are. I know that you are a great deal like me. You will do whatever it takes to get your own way, regardless of the concepts of morals and honor. Yet, that will change. What was undone will be done once again. You and I will merge consciences once and for all. And all will be as it should have been. Run, run fast, for I so love the hunt, and woe betide what shall become of you if I catch you.
You did an efficient job of avoiding me, but I'm afraid it was all for naught. We were in the process of cutting important limbs off that bitch Coral, and were working our way to eliminating her once and for all. Yet it would appear that I have made a similar mistake as I did once before, by parleying with that creature instead of just killing her. Yet even though she still lives, she's of no concern at the moment, because you and I have some unfinished business to attend to first. That was her true fiendish name, as I discovered from our last confrontation. Surely you have read the children's stories. Though they are elaborated at length, there is some truth to them. My abilities stem from my command over names, and during our last encounter, I learned hers, by force. However, unlike the story, which claims that I slew Coral, in reality she fled before I could cut her down. One of the objectives I made before setting out here was to rectify that mistake, so that I would no longer be haunted by it. Now, I have one last mistake to rectify. How long have I known who you were? Well, I suspected as much when I first met you. That is, of course, why I opted to meet you, in order to experience the similarities to my nemesis in person. I knew the race and gender of the infant that your pre-incarnation stole, and spent years tracking down where you had escaped to. A wife and 2 children have died due to my neglect, caused by my relentless, obsessive, compulsive hunt to find you. And when we first spoke, I knew what you were. I could feel it. I could taste it. I admit that I took an enormous chance by instigating our initial brief confrontation, but I simply had to know for certain. Because the most defining mannerism your pre-incarnation harbored was his fighting skill. You fought just like him. Yet I could tell that you did not know what you were, and it would be far from honorable to confront you without you having that knowledge. Thus I provided the necessary information to set you about your quest to learn yourself, knowing that in time it would all come back to you. And so I succeeded in that regard. You now know precisely what you are the reincarnation of, and why you deserve to die. Thus it is time to finish what we started all those years ago. At last, you will die by Edward Pellew's hand. Of course you are my enemy. You have always been my enemy. In all the years that I was hunting you, I knew that I would find you. I knew that I would make you suffer for all of your crimes, for all the blood you have spilled. Cleon the Butcher died at the hands of a nobody in a back alley, thus preventing me from ever finding revenge upon his flesh. But I have found a more prominent target, the very demon that drove him to do what he did. Thus I will slay the king, rather than a measly pawn. I knew him in a way you can never imagine. I devoted whole portions of my life to his study, his hunt, and his elimination. I knew everything about him. I knew his mannerisms, his thought patterns, his instincts, and his habits. I knew him better than he knew himself, better than you know yourself.
Edward Pellew says nothing, and seems to be locked in contemplation at your words. Though it would appear to be a struggle for Pellew, he nods his agreement at your words.
You are right. He would not have offered a truce, even if he were facing undeniable defeat. He was a proud creature, arrogant and overconfident. He would rather die than admit defeat. I will admit that you are not like him, though you share many of his similarities. You have changed.
Pellew appears to be extremely conflicted, though you cannot help but think that his steadfast resolve is weakening.
You are right. You are nothing like him. Never in 1,000 years would he ever have said the words that you spoke mere moments ago. And to the same extent, I never imagined that his reincarnation, however incomplete a copy it may be, would ever differ from him in so great a way. You are not my enemy. I know that now. Though it pains me to say this, I will not fight you, and neither will Maris.
Pellew appears to be somewhat saddened. His eyes grow misty and vacant, and his shoulders slump mournfully.
My quest to hunt you and your predecessor, and Kurl, has consumed my entire life. Though I am a half-celestial, the curtain is closing on my life. Soon my time will be up, and I will join the countless villains that I have sent into the next realm. Once, a long time ago, I did a single good deed that labeled me a hero throughout history, yet I fell from that lofty perch a long time ago. I sunk into the realms of obsession and threw away great boons that I never truly appreciated. My wife and 2 sons lie buried on the roadside. Yet, at last, I've performed another deed as great, if not greater, than my previous great deed. In letting you live, I feel that I have benefited all. Here, take this as means of consolation for the pain I've caused you, and to aid you in your future ventures for the good of Tamriel. May my sword and my gold serve you well.
Edward Pellew has taken a great chance in allowing you to leave and placing a lot of trust in you. I am not entirely sure his move is a smart one. Yet I will not countermand his instructions to allow you to leave this place freely, and I admit that I understand his reasoning to some extent. Do not destroy the trust he and I have placed in you. Go into Tamriel and do good deeds. Sell your sword if necessary, but only to worthy bidders. Here, perhaps my bow can aid you. Take it and use it to rain fiery death upon all of those that seek to do ill. Use it well, and use it justly.
I know that you probably have 100 questions that you wish to ask of me, but I'm afraid that I'm not yet ready to answer them. In time, perhaps. But for now, I think it is best if I put aside all the darkness that has clouded my past and focus on what time I have left. As I reflect on all that has happened, I cannot help but feel that as the curtain closes on the play that was my life, I have left countless chapters left unopened. Yet, I think that perhaps only tragedies remain locked inside. Thus, I think that perhaps I should visit the graves of my family and pay them the respects that I never did in life. Should we meet again, I will tell you what you wish to know. For now, though, I bid that you take care.
Stop! Go no further. I cannot let this abomination that you have become go on living. Oh, yes, you are like him. A great deal like him. Yet I know now that you are not him. You are different. A perversion of him. And yet you have managed to surpass him in so many ways. I cannot allow that. I cannot allow his memory to be spoiled. I cannot allow you to become more than he became.
As you cast your eyes over Allecia, you know with utmost certainty the insanity that now drives her.
No, I will kill you. I will cut you down and leave only a memory in your wake. You have grown fast, so much faster than we both expected. You move fast, too. Faster than he ever did.
Allecia's eyes grow wide and her lower lip trembles. Tears stream from her eyes in a seemingly relentless flow.
So many memories. So many haunting thoughts that were once dear to me and are now nothing short of a nightmare, personified every time I see you. I know now that you harbor so many of his memories, and yet you bring them to life through your own distinct persona. You are the epitome of everything I once loved and could love, but can never love. You are an abomination, a spawn from my fire-scorched home, where ugliness is abundant and dreams die.
At your words, Allecia finally relinquishes the iron-fast grip she has held upon herself all this time and bursts into anger-stricken tears. She throws herself upon you, sobbing relentlessly into your shoulder and begging your forgiveness for all that she has done.
Everything that I ever did, all the atrocities that I committed, all of them were for you, for your pre-incarnation. I gave up everything for him, and yet when
when I faced Maris and Pellew in the throne room here, whilst trying to bring him back to life. I realized that all that I had sacrificed had been for naught. I realized that I valued my own survival more than I valued us being together. It was on that day when I gave up all hope of ever being happy again, of ever finding true companionship again. But then you came along, and everything changed. The future has always seemed so dark and foreboding. Somehow, despite all my prophecies to the contrary, I never expected to be happy again. Yet, with you, I feel that such a thing is possible. Perhaps there is a glimmer of light amidst all the darkness, guiding my way, our way. I have so much to say, so much that I want to say, yet I cannot seem to find the words. I think that perhaps you know precisely what drove me to do what I did, to lie to you, to deceive you in such a way. Tell me, can you ever forgive me? I scarcely know what to say. To have you forgive me after I betrayed you in such a way, such a concept is unfamiliar to me. But I need something else from you. Something more. Something so valuable that I am almost afraid to ask the question, for fear of the answer. Yet I must ask, or go insane at the wondering. Tell me, can you ever love me?
Alecia's eyes grow wide, and she shakes her head, apparently speechless. A broad smile quickly envelops her face, and it is a smile that instantly warms your heart.
I guess that deep down I never expected that would be your answer. I just didn't want to accept it. Time changes all things. Old wounds can be healed, even as long-dead romances can be rekindled. And time is something that both you and I have, because I have a small secret to confide in you. Edward Pellew was blessed with longevity because of his celestial heritage, and likewise I share the same fate from my fiendish ancestry. And you, a hybrid of mortal and fiend, will be granted a similar blessing and will doubtless live far longer than any mortal would.
She forces a small smile, and you know that the tears streaming from her eyes now are tears of happiness.
Well, unless, of course, you pick a fight that you cannot win and someone slides a blade through your ribs. But failing that, I imagine that you will live an extremely long and very rich life. And because you are not cursed by your heritage, you will live it however you wish. I am honored to have been given the opportunity to spend my life with you and to share in your experiences. Together, I imagine that we will accomplish quite a bit. Or perhaps we will accomplish nothing and merely while away the years. The Ehethorn estate is yours now. Retire to it when you wish, or sell it should such please you. But please, please, take me with you wherever it is that you go.